Well, hello. Today, I think it's time we discuss something that I don't believe that I have discussed on this channel yet, and that is insignias in Mod 21. Specifically, the mythic insignias, because that is a new addition, and there's something that is discouraging a lot of people about it right off the bat. And although it makes sense if you look at the numbers on paper, it's also not sustainable the way it currently is. I don't know if sustainable is the right word. I don't think so. But anyways, let's talk about insignias, okay? So what insignias do, they give you stats based on their quality, and of course they also give you item level because they give you stats. You go from 25 at green common rarity, 50 item level at rare, 100 item level at epic, 200 item level at legendary. And now you notice a pattern here. Each time we go up, the item level is doubling, right? And then you go to mythic, where you go up to 500, which instead of doubling, it goes up 2.5 times, or 150% increase in stats and item level, which is more. So you can argue that it makes sense that it's going to be more expensive to upgrade to that rank because there's a larger jump in stats. But let's take a look at how much upgrading an insignia actually costs, shall we? So if you're starting out at green, which most people don't do this, but if you were to do that and you want to refine to blue, it only costs you 20 insignia powder, which is very reasonable, very cheap. And then you move on to blue and you want to upgrade to epic. It costs you 100. And so you'll notice that the amount of insignia powder you need has multiplied by 5. Fine, 100 insignia powder is not too bad. Purple insignias are still pretty decent, all fine and dandy. Now you upgrade to legendary, and it costs 500 insignia powder to upgrade to. Now that is where it starts to get expensive. It takes a little while to get 500 insignia powder, especially if your RNG sucks and you never get insignias from dungeons, like me. But even so, you only need the equivalent of 10 epic insignias worth of insignia powder to upgrade to legendary, and you can buy those on the auction house, and they're not extremely expensive. So it's manageable. It will take you quite a while to get a full set if you're not extremely rich, but, it's doable. You can probably do a couple of them a week. Maybe if you get pretty lucky with drops from dungeons and capping your daily AD every day. And this is assuming that you are just buying all of the insignia powder you need on the auction house, of course. There are other ways that you can get it. Very few ways, but there still are ways. Now so now you have all legendary insignias, right? You're one of the cool kids who have all the orange looking mount sheets and you feel really rich and stuff. But now you look to upgrade your insignias to mythic in Mod 21. Now remember we said that the stats are increasing by 150% with this upgrade instead of just doubling, which would be a 100% increase. So you're getting 750 of the two main stats, 400 combined rating, and then 500 item level as a result. So that is quite a lot. The mythic insignias are giving you quite a boost. But this is where it gets a little bit, look at the cost. 2,500 insignia powder to upgrade to mythic. Now that is extremely expensive. Of course, if you actually look at the pricing increments for upgrading all of these insignias, you'll notice that every time the cost to upgrade them is multiplied by 5, from 20 to 100 to 500 to 2,500. So the pricing increment does make sense, of course. In fact, it's actually technically coming at a discount because while the other ones are still multiplying by 5 in price, you're getting double the stats. Whereas here, it's still multiplying by 5 in price, but you're getting 150% of the stats. So technically it's a discount, but it really does not feel like one because do you know how long it takes to get 2,500 insignia powder? And we also have to keep in mind that mount collars also require insignia powder to upgrade, so not only do you have to worry about all of your insignias getting upgraded, but your mount collars as well. Although you can argue that those are not really necessary, but they do provide a huge boost to item level and thus also a boost to your damage and stuff, so in that regard they are pretty necessary. But honestly, who is gonna get 2,500 insignia powder per insignia, which, hold on, I haven't figured this out yet. we have 15 insignias, right? 5 times 3, so we have 15 times 2,500 insignia powder each is a total of 37,500 insignia powder, and that's equivalent to 750 epic insignias, I believe, if I did that math correctly. That's a lot. Just to upgrade one legendary insignia to mythic costs you the equivalent of 50 epic insignias worth of insignia powder, and that's just for one. I can't tell you the last time I had 50 epic insignias, unless you open a ton of lockboxes. You're probably not going to come across this much insignia powder in a timely manner. So a lot of people are getting discouraged by this because it is extremely expensive and will not be attainable for the majority of players. Now, there's a couple reasons why this could be the case. One, it's to give people with nothing else to do something to do. But if you look at it that way, it just kind of feels like busy work for us and not really something that's going to be very fun to try and grind out. So of course some grinding is going to be necessary, especially in the game genre that we are in, but that's a lot. But you can also look at it from the sense that these are not going to be really necessary for you. You can already cap your important stats, or at least get very close, without having mythic insignias. So these will make it a little bit easier to reach that point. But at what cost? You'll have to spend your entire sanity pool just to upgrade them, and I don't really want to do that. But I say this from my own observations. I've noticed that when a change is brought in that doesn't really make much sense in the current state of the game, I've noticed that a couple months later, something else is added or changed that makes the original change make sense. But I think in this case, that's a little bit backwards. So for example, the best example I have of this, the most obvious, is when Cryptic started making a lot more account-wide mounts and companions and account-wide stuff in general. And then lo and behold, they introduced a new class to us that comes out in a couple weeks. That is something that makes a lot of sense in retrospect if you look back. They make a lot of things account-wide, makes it easier for you to gear up your alts, and then now you have another alt to make, and it'll make the process a lot easier. That's the best example I have of this, but in that example, and in a lot of other previous examples, they make something easier to get before introducing something new, harder, or just more time-consuming. But in this case, we have the conundrum that it's extremely difficult to get that much insignia powder right now. In a couple months, maybe they'll add some more ways to get insignia powder to make it easier, but right now, it's the difficult segment. You would think that if they were to add mythic insignias, that they would give you maybe at least one other additional way to get insignia powder before introducing them. That way people can get kind of caught up on their insignias and have more people interested in getting mythic ones, because a lot more people would then have legendary ones if they were easier to upgrade before the mythic ones came out. But I'm not an expert by any means. These comments are just based on my own personal observations, experiences, and guesses at how games should work. But I believe right now that mythic insignias are far too expensive for 99.9% of players, and I've already seen a lot of people kind of upset about that. Maybe there's something I don't know about, and like another way that you can get insignia powder that I haven't noticed. Like maybe you can get a bunch from dungeons now, I don't know. It would be nice actually if you run a dungeon and get like even 25, if it was a range, like you get 10 to 50 insignia powder as a possible dungeon drop, I would be okay with that. Then you could grind it out a lot more reliably. But it does not seem to be the case, at least from what I know right now. Or perhaps there could be a crafting recipe for insignia powder the same way that there is for refinement gemstones. Even then you could grind it out a lot more reliably. Maybe those things do exist and I just don't know. If they don't exist, I really think they should, because honestly I think those are some pretty good ideas to get more insignia powder, because upgrading mount collars and now also these insignias is going to be quite a lot of insignia powder. Now, I should not forget to mention that you can also get insignia powder from the trade bar store by purchasing the insignias with trade bars and then converting them. But that requires spending money for the most part, unless you have like 2 months of patience for the Zen exchange. It's gonna take you quite some time. So I'm not sure how this is gonna play out. I don't know if they will change it at some point, but my guess is it will stay the same because it follows the pattern of the insignia powder cost multiplying by 5 for each upgrade tier. So I don't think that they will change it. But what I am hoping for is that either I am wrong and there are more ways to get insignia powder, or they add more ways to get insignia powder, because right now I believe that it is far too expensive and you're just going to discourage a lot of people who might be looking towards using insignias to possibly help them reach their stat goals. Anyways, this video is a lot longer than I thought it would be. I guess I had more to say on the subject than I thought, but thank you for listening or watching or whatever. I said that backwards and that was really weird. Let me redo that. Thank you for watching or listening or whatever. I hope you found this video informative, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but a word that allows you to resonate with the video and have some kind of connection and feel the same emotions as me about this topic. And also, if you do agree with this, make sure you head over to the forums and say something about it. I'm sure there is a thread on this subject already somewhere, and if there is and I find it, I will link it in the description so you can share your opinions about mythic insignias also. Anyways, I'm gonna leave now and finish my watery coffee from Wendy's. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I hope you are richer than me in the game. Actually, leave a comment with the most AD you've ever had at once. Okay, bye!